Tell us the story here, Jim. What happened here this morning?
I saw one spot where the doe was bedded down, and it looked like either he jumped her out or they both got up and ran. I don't know what happened. Oh, we were just driving in this morning, Tom, and coming along the road there, and it got just before you get to the 8 mile mark there, and looked, and there was a nice buck track across the road. There's a buck and a doe. And the track was a nice track. I could see that. I told them guys, I said, boy, that's a beauty. So Tom was with me. And Norbert Kiefer, we picked them up on the way in.
Oh, that's who that was.
Yeah. So they're camped by the bridge there at the Moose, Moose and the Otter.
Yeah.
So I went back then, and well, when we went up, I stopped, and I said, gee, I want to take that track, Tom. I said, why don't you take Norby back to his camp, and then, you know, then you can stop down at the plains and then hunt from there. I said, I really want to take this track because it's fresh. I could tell it was real fresh. So he says, okay, Hank. So I got out and I put my camouflage on and got my gun and started down the road, and I backtracked a couple of times back and forth to make sure which way the deer was going. And finally decided it was going right up the ridge there, you know, just would be on the south side of the north side of the road. So I had loaded up my gun before I got to the spot anyways, and I just started up and the wind was bad. I said, golly, I said, I want to get right on the track so the wind is bad. I'll cut to the right just a little bit, and at least my scent will be away from the track anyway. So I cut to the right a little bit, and I just started coming up over the hill. Remember, Joe, I told Joe this quite a long time ago, and I come up over a hill, I like to have just a little part of me show first. And I stepped up there, and I looked there, and all of a sudden I looked over there, and there's a doggone doe standing right there. She wasn't probably 30 yards from me. And she saw me. I could see her eye look right at me, but she never turned her head or anything. She just, I see her look at me and went right back to feeding. I said, there's a big buck right here somewhere. So I said, holy carpers. I said, he's got to be right in here. So I watched the doe, and she fed just a little bit away from me. And then I could see her tail flick between the evergreens, and I knew she was right there, and I kept looking. And right, just to my right, there was a bunch of, there was a blowdown and a bunch of roots and stuff there, and it was covered with snow. And I looked through the one patch, there was a hole, like a diamond-shaped hole about that big, and I could look right through that doggone hole and see the deer there. I said, but I had to duck down to look through there. I said, that's got to be that buck. All of a sudden I heard, brrr. I said, that's got to be that doggone buck. I pulled up the gun, looked through, all I got is a 2 3/4 power scope. Looked through the doggone scope there, and gee, I could see no horns. I said, son of a gun, it's got to be that buck. So I put the gun back down again like that. I said, gee, it's got to be. I pulled up the gun again, and I looked. Put it right through the spot there, and I said, gee, what? That looks like beech leaves, because there was some scrub beech trees in there, you know. I said, must be beech leaves there. Said, maybe it's his horn. I looked again like that. Gee, that looks like a brow point sticking in that one side. Must have been 60 yards away.
The buck's lair!
I said, holy crap. I said, I gotta shoot. I said, ain't no sense. It's gotta be that doggone buck. I put the gun up again like that. Right on the spot there. Boom! I shot. And it disappeared because all I could see was the little patch there, you know. So, gee, I run up quick a couple of steps there, and I could just see a flash of him going down the ridge. All of a sudden, I look, and he's down about maybe 60, 70 yards, and he's hopping. And his back leg is sticking out like that, and he's hopping along. So, gee, I had another shell in there anyways. Boom, I shot again, and jacked it on, went boom, I shot again, and finally he went up, and I just getting a 4-shot there. Boom, I shot, and he went out of sight. I said, golly, I knew I hit him because he was hopping there. You know, and I said, probably one of my famous leg shots. So,
man, yours,
just the way it's out, right?
the big bucks are always shooting the leg.
How do you have a deer face you and shoot him in the back leg? I don't know, I do it all the time. So anyway, I said, gee, I don't want to rush right down there, and I thought I saw a flash of the doe off to the left, but I wasn't sure. I said, I want to rush right down there, else I'll swing around this ridge here, because there was a little ridge between me and him. So I swung around the ridge and just started easing along. I come up over the top of the ridge, and I looked over there. Tom must have been 90 or 100 yards, and there he is, laying right there in the open, right in the open ridge. And I could see, like, golly, I pulled up the gun and looked at it. I said, look at all them points, holy cripers. So I was going to shoot, and I couldn't. I was shaking too much. So I went up and snuck up by a couple of trees, and I said, I ain't going to take a chance on him getting up there. I'm going to plaster him right there. So I put it right on. Boom. Blah! He went just like that. Let out a wicked groan. Oh, I should have heard him. And then he stood there, and I come down the ridge, and he seen me coming, and he tried to get, all he could do to get back up, he's dragging his back legs along, drag it along, and he's struggling, went around this beech tree, and I run down there to try to get some more pictures of him. I took a couple pictures, and I said, gee, I don't want him to suffer anymore, so I shot him down.
Good. 13-pointer. Congratulations, bro.
Thanks, Tom.
Is that your biggest number of points?
Most points, yeah.
Most
11
points,
was all I had before.
You guys are the best road hunters in the Adirondack.
Well, the Pars always said we were road hunters. I got so we got a picture of him. We gotta get that.
I think Butch is gonna have to stay because I guess Stinger's close. They close the. You can't enter nothing after 7 o'clock at night.
Oh yeah, isn't that something? Oh, she's out of focus.
I think that's crazy.
Okay,
You gotta be able to enter the
He
buck
was almost a
anytime.
12, wasn't he?
a 13 pointer, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Old Hick Tub got him.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Alfred.
That Palmation, man, I haven't seen that on a deer.
Yeah, I know it. That's odd looking, isn't it?
I forget how much that is. That one big one there.
I bet you he's an old timer.
Oh, he figured. He didn't think so, but he figures about 180 pounds, Tom.
Yeah.
You ought to see the chest on him. I'll bet he'll get
boy.
a good buck for the Cape because it's huge.
Boy, he split his leg there, didn't he?
Yeah, it looks like he did
Oh,
one of them.
he fired 6 shots.
Holy God.
So, bet you- oh, and when he come up to him when he was dying,
Yeah.
he let out with a hell of a grunt.
Oh yeah.
He
Yeah.
said like that.